Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Ball Talk Boyos podcast, episode number 20.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
I am joined, as per usual, by my co-host, rocking the EJ Manuel Bills jersey,
EJ Manuel
Joey
Bills
Boreski.
jersey.
Joey, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Topher. And you know, when you're at a Goodwill in central Indiana and you see a triple XL EJ Manuel Bills jersey for $10 or something like that,
Gotta
you
do
have to
it.
buy it. You have to buy it.
Gotta
right?
do it. How do you not?
I mean, at the rate I'm putting on weight too, I'll be triple XL in no time. So I'm just excited to talk some ball and be rocking the EJ Manuel Bills jersey. Shout out Coach Henry.
Shout out Coach Henry. No clue if you watch or listen. He might do both. He might be a listener and a watcher. He's just got to come back around for all of the takes. But I had a couple of other jerseys that I wanted to pull out, but only fitting the Red Sox. Given recent news about a trade, but we'll find some time to talk baseball at a later podcast since we have some fans of a little more expertise. That fair to say?
What are you trying to say?
You don't know Seam, dude.
Bro, I'd strike you out. What? I'm not Barber.
Anyways, what I do want to find out though, Joey, is if you know Slay. I gotta ask, what are your opinions on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
I think Rudolph, honestly, when you talk about the reindeer, right? He is the greatest reindeer in that group. And it shouldn't be debated because he has a skill that no other reindeer possess. Like, he might, even if he's not the strongest, not the fastest, he has that red nose that lights up. He is undisputed the GOAT. Like, it's like Brock Bowers in fantasy football right now. That is a huge positional advantage that nobody else has if you have Brock Bowers on your team. It's something that you can't really, like, replicate, and you have to act accordingly. Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer, the GOAT of all Santa's reindeer.
I've been hearing yap about him being, overrated or just, a product of his environment. Like, we're not talking about the greatest clutch performance in potentially Christmas history. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that.
Calling him a system reindeer is absolutely absurd.
That's what I'm hearing.
Would a system reindeer lead the way in that clutch performance to save Christmas? No! That's not a system reindeer thing. He's not a game manager. He's a game decider.
I didn't see Santa go up to Donner or Vixen or Blitzen or any of their other names asking, hey, can you lead us through this fog? He went straight up to Rudolph. So,
I mean,
that's all we...
Yeah.
That's all we gotta say. Let us know your thoughts on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in the comments, and we'll decide if you know Slay. But based on Joey, I think you know Slay, so we're doing pretty good. The real question is, do we know Ball though?
I know Ball.
You know Ball. Did you watch last night's 49ers Rams games? We were recording on Friday, December 13th, the day after.
Friday the 13th. Oh no, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna lose another job. Ooh.
Yeah, Joe, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
I don't have. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, it's just based on your fantasy football skills, I think it's just we just gotta cut the cord.
Well, if we want to talk about fantasy football skills, I took advice from a certain somebody.
Hey, you didn't have to listen. You didn't have to listen.
I was gonna hold, but I'm like, I will listen to my good.
And I still think it was the right decision. Like, I still do. It was just unfortunate that he had his two best games of the year. Like you couldn't have seen that. We didn't expect Saquon to then have a 40-point game like the literal next week. That was just unfortunate. Yeah.
and George Pickens is injured now.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have mattered. That's actually you tried to say you were Alabama. You're Florida State. One of your best players hurt. We can't let you into the playoff.
Florida State hasn't won anything.
That's what I'm saying. But Florida State last year went undefeated, and then they didn't get it because their quarterback got hurt.
No,
your wide receiver got hurt. You're Georgia.
Because Carson Beck's injured, so they shouldn't have gotten let in this year, but it got expanded. Everyone gets in now. Blah blah blah. But yeah, not a great fantasy football season from me, but it's okay. I'm gonna come back next year. New strategy. And
not gonna draft Debo.
Absolutely not gonna draft Debo. That is I've never wanted to draft Debo. I've just always ended up drafting Debo, and it worked out for me last year. It did not work out for me this year. It is what it is, man. And all I care about is winning Gunslinger now.
Are you in the playoffs for that?
Yeah, I play Harlan this week.
Oof. I think I went 6 for 6 in making playoffs, which I feel like is pretty good.
I went 2 for 4, but one of the leagues I'm tanking it basically. So Dynasty.
You want to know what the problem with Debo Samuel has been though? Is that he changed his number.
Changed his number?
Well, he was 19.
Oh yeah.
He went from 19 to 1, and then he got fat and couldn't catch anymore.
I also haven't seen any videos of them walking out the Super Gremlin this year either. So
they lost. Aside from Debo Samuel, changing his number back to 19 and walking out of the tunnel to Super Gremlin, last night the 49ers lost 12-6, and effectively their playoff chances, I think they were saying on the broadcast, is now like 0.1% with the loss. If you're John Lynch, what do you do with the 49ers moving forward?
The 49ers are in such a tough position because I do think that on paper they have the talent, and they've shown they have the talent to be successful. I just think that the issue right now, it's the offense, in my opinion. I mean, obviously the defense holding the Rams, which is a very good offense, to 12 points, that's not a bad performance whatsoever. They didn't score a touchdown. It was 4 field goals. So that I'm not upset with that. What I'm upset with is the fact that my offense has looked lackluster all season. I mean, Brock Purdy has looked okay at times, but Brock Purdy hasn't been great. The weapons haven't been. Ayuk obviously injured, not good. Debo Samuel has been either unhealthy, which he's always unhealthy every year for a certain stretch, and he hasn't been good when he's healthy. Christian McCaffrey obviously has not been healthy all year. It just goes on and on and on, and I think that they need some serious reworks at the wide receiver position, especially. They just need to give Brock Purdy a position to be successful. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. Brock Purdy was a little overrated coming into this year. I think Brock Purdy is a starting quarterback in the NFL still. I just think that he needs a good team around him to be successful, to truly be a championship level quarterback, because right now he has not been that, and that's with his weapons not being healthy and not being good. So I think they need some serious wide receiver help, and they also need a stroke of health to come over the organization, because they've been really unlucky with injuries this year.
Yeah, that I feel like is the better or the more important piece in all this, is that they've just been really hurt all year. I mean, their wide receiver group probably isn't that good when fully healthy. I know Brandon Ayuk was really good last year. And then Christian McCaffrey hasn't been healthy, and the offense just has lacked, like you said, it just hasn't been good this year. I think I saw something, they've been really good in the first half, but then the team's been really bad in the second half. And Purdy, he's still, I'd have to look to see where he ranks in a lot of these more quarterback rating and QBR to see where he ranks among the rest of the league, but his numbers aren't horrible. He hasn't completely fallen off a cliff over this year. It's just the lack of health has really hurt them. He's also an interesting one because they're gonna have to pay him this offseason. He's gonna get paid.
He is. Oh, he's absolutely gonna get paid.
Okay.
I think this brings up the argument, though, of do you pay a quarterback similar to Brock Purdy's skill that big contract, and does that close your championship window because you're committing that much money to a quarterback who's not a true game changer? Brock Purdy's a game manager.
I don't think that's true at all. I think we're losing the plot a little bit on Brock Purdy. They've also had a pretty bad stroke of bad luck, like just in game bad luck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like not only just from like an injury, they've lost a couple of times on some late field goals. I think Jake Moody had the yips a couple of times that kind of led to them losing a couple of games. But like Brock Purdy was legitimately good. Like he was finished top 5 in MVP last year, and was probably gonna win it until they had the bad game against Baltimore when he kind of fell apart like later in the year. But I think the only reason we like kind of just label Purdy as a game manager, especially with like some of these numbers that he put up over his first, like this year's still been pretty good. Like it's not horrible. It's just been like fine. But I think the only reason we label him as like he's just a game manager, he's not that good, is because he was a 7th round pick. I think if we watched Bryce Young or enter miscellaneous first round quarterback, I think if we saw Will Levis or Kenny Pickett put up these stats over their first 3 years, we'd be talking about the guy being like he's a franchise quarterback, but because he was taken with lower expectations, everyone's kind of just expecting them to move on from him.
That and that's honestly fair. I can see what you mean by that. I just think that when it comes to Brock Purdy, I think he's not an elite quarterback by any means. I mean, last year I was struggling to see him being an elite quarterback. I thought he was a good quarterback. I thought he was probably in that 11 to 18 range or so. That's kind of where I saw him. But I think that right now I'm kind of seeing him more of like the early 20s as a quarterback.
Oh, come
in the
on,
NFL.
Joe.
So as a starting quarterback.
Joey, you're so wrong.
I don't know.
You cannot name 20 starting quarterbacks in the NFL that are better than Brock Purdy.
No. I'm not saying better than Brock Purdy. I'm saying that I'd rather have than Brock Purdy.
I don't think you can do that either.
I cannot do that.
No, that's ridiculous.
I think in terms of I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. I just think that he's not an elite quarterback by any means. That's what I'm trying to get at here.
I don't think that's true at all either. I see no difference. I see essentially no difference between Brock Purdy and Jared Goff.
And
I don't know why we would.
I think Jared Goff's a little bit better, but also I'm not hurrying up to throw around elite with Jared Goff either. I think Jared Goff is a very good quarterback. I think Jared Goff is a fringe maybe elite quarterback, but I don't think I'm hurrying up to throw around elite. When I say elite, I mean like a guy that is like a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson, a Joe Burrow. So I mean, like that's what I'm saying when I mean elite. I'm not talking like Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy. That's not what I mean when I say elite.
Matthew Stafford's probably still elite. He's up there.
He's similar to Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, where he's not quite what I would consider elite, but he's like teetering on the edge of you can maybe throw that word around a little bit. And people do throw that word around with him. It's just how loosely do you want to use elite.
Oh my gosh, why is this being so slow? Sorry, I was trying to pull up like to see where Brock Purdy ranks in like just different like categories this year, because I bet it's still like fair. Like I bet he's still probably pushing top 10. I mean, he's probably had a better season than Patrick Mahomes has this year. I think Patrick Mahomes turned around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean Patrick Mahomes, but it's Patrick.
Now, this is a guy, Patrick Mahomes. Now,
here's a guy.
Here's a guy. He just throws it into the ground intentionally, and he makes it look good while he's doing it.
Now look at Patrick Mahomes. He's mad about taking the 10-yard throw there. He's mad about making that great play.
He's so upset about it. He just can't stand himself. a quarterback that has also been a little more questionably on where he winds up ranking for quarterbacks over the season is Sam Darnold. Where do you think Sam Darnold is playing in 2025?
Ooh. That's actually a really good question. Honestly, I think Sam Darnold's a Minnesota Viking next year.
I
think
agree.
He's playing for the Minnesota Vikings. I think at this point,
I agree.
He's shown enough, and unless if he collapses towards the end of this year, then it won't be Minnesota Vikings, obviously. But I think that he's been playing too good as of late for the Vikings to justify not re-signing him and keeping him as a franchise guy. I just think that you can't throw out this guy who's playing such great football, who's still relatively young, just because you drafted the guy 10th overall and you want to see what he can possibly do. I think that Sam Darnold's going to be the Viking next year.
I think it's probably just a matter of what his market looks like. And as I'm sure you and I have talked about it at different points, whether online or offline, there's not a lot of teams this offseason that are realistically going to be in the market for a quarterback. I mean,
right.
The Jets have a decision to make. I think the Giants, the Raiders, and maybe the Titans are going to draft somebody. We don't have many. Sam Darnold, feels like the addition to a team that's a quarterback away. I don't know if we really have that team.
I mean, the only team I could think of, and I'm not sure how this would work with current contract situations, that is a quarterback away to some degree, is the Browns, maybe?
I don't think the Browns aren't going to pay another $20-30 million that it's going to cost to get.
No. I agree with that. And also, I think the Browns are going to start transitioning to more of a rebuild. But I think that that's an example of a team that would. That's the closest thing I think we're going to get to a team that's a quarterback away, because clearly the Jets are not just a quarterback away, but they're also maybe the closest.
I disagree.
I don't know.
They just don't have the right quarterback.
Well, clearly they don't have the right quarterback. But
yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know who's.
There's just not. I agree. I think they'll let him test the market, but if he gets brought back on what Baker Mayfield got paid, which I think was 3 years, $100 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But I don't think it was fully guaranteed. But if he gets brought back on yeah. But like you've said, they're not just gonna move on from the guy because they took a guy 10th. That's not a thing. If they feel like Sam Darnold's going to be better than J.J. McCarthy, why wouldn't they just pay Sam Darnold?
Right, and if J.J. McCarthy really is a guy that could be a starter someday, or that you have faith in, what's the harm in letting him sit and learn for a little bit longer, too?
Yeah.
It's not like you're having to get rid of J.J. McCarthy then.
No.
You can still hold on to J.J. McCarthy and let him develop and learn under Kevin O'Connell, who clearly is good with quarterbacks.
Yeah, if they did Sam Darnold on a 3-year deal with only 1 year or 2 years of it being guaranteed. So that way, if they wanted to cut him after the second year and move on to JJ, they could, and they have the leeway to then decide if they want to keep him for 1 or 2 more years. But I also don't think oh no, he wasn't even given that much. Oh no, it was 3 years, $100 million, 50 guaranteed.
Yeah,
which I feel like it makes. I don't know. There's ways to adjust these contracts where you're not really paying Sam Darnold that much, but I don't buy you have to win with. I mean, I'm sure maybe the data doesn't support me, but you can't win with I don't know. Whether you can win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold or not, I don't know, but he's been good enough that he should be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and that shouldn't be a question.
Right, and I mean, we might very well see him make a run to the Super Bowl this year because the Vikings are a very, very good football team. So that we might get our answer sooner than we think.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with them the rest of the year. One of the other star and the reason Sam Darnold has been as effective as he has, Justin Jefferson. Is Jamar Chase better than Justin Jefferson?
No.
You don't think so?
I think Justin Jefferson's better than Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is playing with a better quarterback right now, and I think Jamar Chase is playing in a role in which he's gonna be fed the ball a little bit more. But I still am hesitant to call Jamar Chase better than Justin Jefferson is. But I think Justin Jefferson is the number one receiver in the NFL, and I think Jamar Chase is arguably number 2.
I don't think it's arguable. I think it's a 1A and 1B, and it's them two, and then it's the rest of the league. I don't know how you watch and look at what Jamar's done this year and be like, oh yeah, no, that Jefferson's noticeably better than Jamar. I mean, Jamar's on historic pace, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, everyone's on historic pace these days, though, Topher. So I mean, it's just it's just this modern run and shoot NFL where guys are just airing it out constantly. We have all these great receivers getting paid $30-something million a year.
Speaking of wide receiver contracts, the other question with Jamar Jefferson is should and will Jamar Jefferson get paid more? Jamar Chase get paid more than Justin Jefferson?
I mean, I think he's very well showing that he could. I mean, I wouldn't at this point. Before the season, we were hearing us talk about he wants to get paid more than Justin Jefferson.
That felt a little crazy. Yeah.
I was like, get out of here, man. I'm like, he's a great receiver. He's an elite receiver, but come on, man. You're just being big. But at this point, he's playing good enough where he can justify asking for that much money, and he might very well get that much money. And I think he will get that much money. To be honest, the Bengals don't have as much money as most other organizations do, just floating around. But I think they'll find a way to pay Jamar Chase that extra money. Yeah.
He's going to get it back. I think the only reason he may not get more than Jefferson is if he takes a tiny, tiny pay cut so that way they can pay T. Higgins as well and keep the band back together. But that's
Jamar
also...
Chase will not.
Yeah, likely not. But, that's... The only way they likely keep this group together is if both of them take hometown discounts, which I T. Higgins may, but I don't expect Jamar to probably take it, and he shouldn't. I mean, he's the best. He's the best, if not the second best wide receiver in the NFL. So there's no reason he, shouldn't get paid that much, and just depends on the team and how they view all of that. This past week against the Rams, Josh Allen had a 6-touchdown performance in which I think he threw for 3 and ran for 3. Has Josh Allen officially taken over the MVP race with this performance?
I think he's been. I would have said yes if they won it. They didn't win.
Okay.
So I think that on the Bills, I think if the Bills and Ravens I'm blanking on what the record differences are there, but
it's a couple games.
Yeah, so I think that team success still does play a factor in this. I think that the Bills, they are getting carried by Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen should be the MVP clear front runner right now. But I think that there's going to be an argument just based on team success against Josh Allen until Josh Allen can...
Why would there be an argument against Josh Allen? An argument for who?
Lamar Jackson.
Even though they're not going to win their division?
I think that... Lamar Jackson, I think there's still a shot they win that division, first of all. But I think
they're 2 games back.
I can see it. But, I think that you can make the argument that it's like even a couple games when it comes down to this MVP conversation really, really does matter. And I guess if the Ravens aren't going to win the division, that does hinder that anti-Josh Allen argument. But I think that what I'm trying to get at is that there's still, like, this case that you can build against Josh Allen that makes some sense to some degree. And until there's not, like, a feasible case against him, I'm going to have a hard time saying he's the clear MVP right now. I think he should be the clear MVP. I think he's going to be the MVP. But until there's, like, not, like, a case that you can build against him, I don't think you can really...
I think I'm back.
Yeah, you're moving again.
But I don't think you can make, like, a noticeable argument difference between... I don't think it's as much of an argument for Lamar if they don't win the division, and he's not putting up historic numbers, I believe.
That's fair. And, I mean, I feel like the fact that Lamar does already have 2 MVPs under his belt is going to play a factor because of things like voter fatigue, because people don't want Lamar... Because if Lamar gets that 3rd MVP, he's going to be thrust into some conversations.
He already is.
I don't think...
But, yeah.
He's already getting thrust in conversations. People are uncomfortable having him in those conversations.
Yeah.
But 3 is really going to amp that up. So I think... I get what you mean, but I think that there's still, like, a feasible path to Josh Allen not being the MVP.
No, yeah, I agree.
And so that's why I'm hesitant to call him, like, the clear MVP.
Right? I also don't even think Lamar's second.
Who do you think second?
I think
Jalen Hurts?
No, I still think Saquon.
Oh, that's right.
I still think Saquon has the strongest argument, a stronger argument than Lamar Jackson.
He should have a strong argument. You're right, but I still have a hard time seeing them give the MVP to.
See, I think because we talk enough about, the voters would never vote for a running back, I think it winds up having the opposite effect, and voters are like, you know what, maybe we do need to, like, factor, like, this in a little. I mean, the guy might break, like, it's with an extra game. I don't really care. Like, he's still going to break the like, we didn't care about this when I think Cooper Kupp broke all of the receiving records with the extra game. Like, if we're not getting... Josh Allen, I also think, is more valuable to his team than either of these other guys are. I mean, if we go back to what, like, the expectations were coming into the season, people didn't think the Bills were going to even make the playoffs, let alone win the division and, probably be the 2nd seed because the Chiefs are... I'm not going to say it, but, might have a little, extra influence on their side. But, like, I mean, the Bills weren't expected to make... They weren't even expected to come in 2nd in their division, like, more likely than not. And instead they're 11-3. No, that math doesn't work. 10-3, I think. And the Ravens are 8-5. Like,
wait, the Bills have a better record than the Ravens?
Yes, by 2 full games.
Okay, never mind. I don't know what assumption I was under for some reason. I don't know why I thought that the Ravens had a better record.
No,
but never mind. I think Saquon has the best case. I don't. Okay, throw my Lamar Jackson argument out. Let's cut that. Let's cut that out of the pot.
Yeah, it's 2 full games.
Yeah, never mind. I was not prepared there because never mind. It's gonna be Josh Allen or Saquon at this point then, and I think that it's gonna go to Josh Allen, but Saquon, I don't know, because I guess it is a historic year. I mean, we have a guy who is a running back or a wide receiver / cornerback is going to win the Heisman, which is a quarterback award for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think that
one a little less, but yeah.
So I mean, I could see it. I could see Saquon getting it.
Yeah, I think there will definitely be an argument for him, especially because there isn't a quarterback having a historic quarterback season. I mean, we're not talking about, like, any of the elites, but we have not recorded since the Chicago Bears fired Matt Eberflus, which was long a discussion on this podcast. And your prediction of their record, it looks, you're actually going to give them more wins than they're actually probably going to wind up with, as they sit at 4-9. Who is the next head coach for the Chicago Bears?
You know, when the Bears search initially started, I tweeted out, like, immediately. I might even before they fired Eberflus. I tweeted out that Marcus Freeman of Notre Dame was going to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And for a little bit there were reports saying that he was in contention, and I felt so good about myself. I was like, man, I know this so well. All these Bears fans are going to be so disappointed. I don't think it's going to be Marcus Freeman, though, at this point. I think that there's two names that are really getting circled, which are Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel.
Yep.
And I just have a hard time. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Ben Johnson. I just think that Ben Johnson is not going to take the Bears job for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've kind of thought the same thing. He might have like because he came back to the Lions, he might have a little like loyal, not too much, but he might just have like an unspoken loyalty to them that he won't go.
Right. And so with that being said, I think that if they can get him, because Mike Vrabel is going to be a very hot name in this coaching cycle from what I've read and seen, that they're going to hire the former Ohio State Buckeye, Mike Vrabel, to be their next head coach. He's a culture builder. He's an Ohio State Buckeye. He knows how to win. So
they just got to make sure they scoop. If it is going to be him, they got to scoop him up before he's the head coach of his alma mater, which could come steaming down the tracks here quick.
Yeah, I mean, if something goes badly next weekend, then
I don't even think it needs to go badly next weekend. We can get into that now. Then we'll jump over to college. Is there anything Ryan Day can do to keep his job? Because I think if they make the national championship and win, that is the only way. If they make the national championship and lose, he's still gone. There's no way.
I think the only way that he is gone, as an Ohio State Buckeyes fan, listen to me. I don't think he gets fired unless they get embarrassed by Tennessee at home this first round of the playoffs. I think that Ryan Day is going to be back next year.
They will not beat Michigan until Ryan Day is no longer the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
I also don't think that's necessarily true.
He has... Okay, go ahead.
I think that, well, when it comes to rivalry games, first of all, they're as close to coin flips as any games are in college football, despite no matter the talent.
Oh yeah, no, especially with rivalries. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think that, frankly, Michigan's won 4 in a row now after having won only twice in our lifetimes up until that point. Ohio State obviously had a sustained success over a period. I mean, in the past 100 years, Ohio State is dog-walking Michigan. The only reason Michigan has the series lead is because of pre-World War I games where they won every game of that, every one of those games. So what I'm trying to get at is, I think that 4 years ago, so 2020 they ducked Ohio State. They said they had COVID or whatever, and that's when Michigan was 1 in something. 2021 Ohio State, I felt like Ohio State was the better team, but Michigan beat them.
Okay.
And that's fair and square. Maybe not fair and square, but you know what I'm saying.
They whooped them that year too, right?
I think so. I think that's the year after.
Both ones under Stroud were blowouts.
No, I think one of them was.
No.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, 2021 and 2024. So this year and the first one they won forever. I think that Ohio State was the better team, but Michigan won. And 2022-2023, Michigan was 100% the better team than Ohio State. So I think that, to some degree, while Ryan Day has not beat Michigan, I mean, we were a field goal away from the national championship game 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
A field goal away. I mean, it's not. I think that people need to slow their horses down on this Ryan Day talk. And I'll be honest, this year that fired me up losing to Michigan like that at home when we should have smoked them. But I think that fine. We talk about if you're gonna fire a coach, who are you gonna go get after? You have to have a plan. You can't just fire someone and then say like there's no plan. Mike Vrabel would be a fantastic plan. I would love Mike Vrabel. But
Urban Meyer, bring him back. No, but like not seriously to Urban Meyer. Obviously, that's not. I don't even think that should be considered. But like one of my professors, he's a Ohio State alum, and like he follows like college football very religiously. And he talked about it after, and he was like, for some like Ryan Day has this weird obsession with the game, and every time they come into it, they completely change their play style and try and win against Michigan playing Michigan football as opposed to playing Ohio State football. Like I didn't get to watch this past game, but I've obviously seen and like I've heard through people talking about it, but he was like Michigan's two best players, or two of their probably three best players are their defensive tackles.
Yeah.
And wasn't Ohio State running between the tackles a lot, which is probably what you don't want to do when...
Oh, the play calling was horrendous.
That's what I'm saying. Until, like, Ryan Day has this weird obsession that he tries to play Michigan football, and I think until, for some reason, he just won't stop doing that.
I see what you mean. I just think... Listen, I agree that Ryan Day has not performed very well in that role as of late, especially against Michigan. But I think that he's still, Ryan Day is still, he's like, has one loss against the rest of the Big Ten in his entire tenure there or something like that. Like, Ryan Day has been, he's been a field goal away from the national championship game. Like, he has success. I mean, didn't we, I feel like he's still close to national championships as well. Like, it's not like he's just like,
they went there in 2020, right?
2020. Yeah.
Because they beat Clemson and then they lost to that Alabama team. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, he has been close and he has had success. Is it as much as Ohio State fans like myself would want? No, absolutely not. I want to beat the brakes off of those scum up north every single year. I would love nothing more than that. But what I would love more than that, I actually would love something more than that. That's the national championship. And Ryan Day has been very close a couple times to a national championship. So I think that we need to... People... This whole media narrative that Ryan Day is going to get fired, it's not going to happen yet. Next year, if we get smoked by Tennessee, that's the only scenario in which I think Ryan Day could get fired this season. Outside of that, I think Ryan Day is going into the next season with a little bit of a warm seat, and then we'll see if anything happens with that. If they underperform, he'll probably get fired then. But I think that Ryan Day will be back next year with Ohio State, almost without a doubt. And I think that while I would rather have Mike Vrabel, to be honest, as my coach, I'm not too worried.
What about Chip? What about Chip Kelly?
No.
No. What if you go get Bill O'Brien this time, and he actually stays with Ohio State?
No, not Bill O'Brien. I do not want Bill O'Brien.
You don't want Bill O'Brien? He's got those.
Why would I want Bill
O'Brien? He's got the Eagles up there. Played some gosh darn good football.
Boston College.
And he's not gonna make any trades because that's not a thing in college football. So you don't have to worry about him trading DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson in a third.
You know who I would honestly want, and you're not gonna know who this guy is probably, because recruiting nowadays is just like, all right, how much can you pay me? Oh, you can pay me that much money. Okay, and Ohio State's pockets are deeper than any other program this year.
Yeah.
Give me Dan Mullen. Give me Dan Mullen. The guy cannot recruit for jack squad.
Dan Mullen.
But he is a fantastic coach. He just got hired at UNLV. He was the coach at Mississippi State with Dak. He was Dak's coach at Mississippi State.
I'm all for Dak. Yeah.
And then he went to Florida, and he was successful at Florida. But then recruiting fell off, But like nowadays with NIL, like
You don't really need to
just
be able
throw
to
some
recruit.
money.
You just need to throw a check down.
Right. So like I'm not as worried about that anymore. Good coach. There's probably guys I want above him, but that's just the guy that comes to mind as like a good football coach, and we just need a gosh darn good football coach.
Gosh darn good.
And Ryan Day's not that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with his seat and how warm it gets over the next couple of weeks. Like we talked about earlier, fantasy playoffs are starting this week, and I have a lot of teams in the fantasy playoffs. You, however, don't have as many. If you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing during fantasy drafts, what would it be?
I'd say, Joey, you know ball. Don't listen to anyone else. Don't let the outside noise get to you. Because if I just listen to myself, stuck to my guns about building a good culture and trusting your guys, I'd be sitting in that playoffs right now as like the 7 seed or something. I'd be going another run.
Would you still have made it even with like the points forced?
So
like, would you have scored enough points? Would you have like taking out both of them though? Both of them and inserting him. Like, I think you only win one of those weeks. I went back and did the math.
No.
If you removed both of them and put in the substitute, I think the first week you lost, you wouldn't have made it.
No.
You would have still lost.
I would have won one of the weeks because I would have started Ramondre Stevenson, because that was the guy I was like starting, and he put up 20 on top of Saquon's 40-something, so I would have won that week.
Yeah,
and
one of the weeks you would have.
Another week I would have won because I've done the math. I've gone back and done the math. I would have won 3 of the 4 games since that trade. I believe it is, or something like that. I would have won enough to be in the playoffs. I would have had 6. I would have had 6 wins.
And then you would have gotten
7 wins or 6. I don't know. I would have had more wins than I have right now, basically, and I would have gotten in comfortably. And I've scored more points than Peyton and Craig, and obviously Trevor. Shout out Trev. So I would have been in comfortably. And we need to talk about how the Peyton and Craig are strength of schedule merchants a little bit more.
Well, same thing with Michael Barber. He's got less points. He's got low points scored.
He's got 7 more points than me.
Anyways,
and he has like 10. He's like 10 wins or something.
Yeah, but so if you'd gone back in time and you would have just told yourself, Joe, just nothing about like, hey, probably don't draft Deebo Samuel in the 3rd round or whatever you did. Like
at very last pick of the 3rd round. Let's make
that makes it worse, Joe.
The last pick of the 3rd round.
Do you want to go back and look at who some of like the immediate people that were like probably no brainers? That like, oh no, I probably should have, like that kind of thing. You're not.
Yeah. Hindsight's 20/20. I when I draft in fantasy football, I don't draft for safety. I take the boom picks. I bring the boom, Topher. I go for the guys that could be superstars.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom.
Hey, copyright.
For me
copyright.
and for you. I'm singing it. I'm not using their music.
Deebo Samuel's a boomer bust pick, and he was a bust this year.
Busted all over your team.
That's crazy. That's absurd. I'm like, Josh Jacobs, good pick.
Saquon
Barkley, fantastic pick. Garrett Wilson wasn't even that bad of a pick, to be honest.
Garrett Wilson's
it was a fine pick. Like, I didn't draft bad by any means. I got Ramondre Stevenson super late. Like, I've made good waiver wire pickups. I picked up Bucky Irving. I picked up good players. So I mean, I got Josh Allen. I mean, like, I've drafted well. It's just like I've been really unlucky because I mean, how was I supposed to know after starting Deebo Samuel when he got cleared to play that he would stop playing after like 3 snaps because of pneumonia when I needed 3 points from him that week? 3 points that I would have won. There was another week that I think there was the first like 5 weeks of the season. 3 of the weeks I lost 3 of those weeks while being in the top half of the league in scoring or something like that. So like sometimes the cookie just doesn't crumble your way, and with my life right now, the cookie's not really crumbling my way ever. So like it just is what it is at this point. Like I'll be okay. I'll live. It's fantasy football. If I have to go eat 16 pancakes from IHOP to get 16 hours off and sit in IHOP for 8 hours, like, so be it.
I already told you, if it winds up being you, I'll sit in there. I don't know if I'll eat it with you, but I'll sit in there with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm putting on the pounds I can eat, so I'm fine.
I think I would have gone back and told myself not to overthink what, like, the fantasy experts, like, have to say, because, like, we had everyone throwing fits over Kyron Williams being a punt returner for, like, a week.
That was really funny, yeah.
Like, we were like, he's playing special teams. He cannot play football. Like, I think we all, like, overthought that a little too much. And I probably would have, and I probably, like, should, no, I think I've done a good job of that this year. I probably would have told myself to keep, like, going off what I project people to do. And probably not, especially for this year, not to factor in the rookie running backs into my picks as much. Because they have done nothing this year. And, like, that was a big thing with Kyron, was that everyone was like, oh, Blake Corum's coming in and he's going to take over his carries. But, like, we've seen this before. It happens every year. And when, you know, the Arizona State guy goes in the second round to the
Chargers.
Yeah, no, not the Chargers. They need someone with a better running back. But when he goes to the
Ravens, screw it.
Yeah, like somewhere, and there's like Derrick Henry, or when he gets drafted by the Eagles, and everyone's like, dude, Saquon Barkley's gonna lose all of his touches this year. I'm telling you, and I'll just be like, all right, guy, like,
yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, I think that's probably take tight ends earlier.
Yeah, I mean, well, Brock Bowers is going to be a first-round pick next year.
I don't know if he's going to be that high because I don't know if we'll ever see a tight end get drafted that high again because I don't think we'll see as much of a positional advantage there as drafting someone in the first round will, like, reap the benefits of.
That's fair, I guess.
Like Kelsey. And I don't know how much of a positional advantage he, like, really wound up being. I'd have to go back and look. But, like, I don't think we as a fantasy... Also, if I ever have the first round pick again, I've decided I will not take whoever I'm supposed to take.
Just take your guy.
Yeah, just take whoever I want. Just do it that way. Don't overthink it. Like, don't take who I'm, like, the consensus number one overall pick is. Just take who I feel best is going to perform that year. But we'll see. I have a couple of, like, league-wide questions for you. Fab or waiver wire? Waiver order, I guess.
I actually kind of like the Fab idea. I mean, I think that we don't have a place where... I mean, we have it in our Dynasty, but we have 12-team Dynasty with massive rosters, so it doesn't come into play very much. No. But I really do like the Fab. I think that adds a whole nother strategic element to fantasy football, and I think that really makes it, like, interesting and makes it so instead of just, like, the worst team gets it, like, you have to have some skill, you have to decide how you're going to spend that. It adds more skill in the fantasy football as opposed to
because you have to budget that right.
Luck.
Yeah,
you have to budget it right, and I mean, you can trade for Fab too. So I really like Fab, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but
I had my first league this year where we, like, in a redraft league where we used Fab, and I really liked it. Like, I didn't do it, like, I didn't make a ton of pickups on the waiver wire. I think I picked up, like, Ladd and then, like, eventually traded him, and I picked up, like, a couple of other guys along the way, but, like, it does add, like, another element of, like, and now, like, at the very end, like, we saw someone the other day with Isaac Garendo put, like, $98 out for.
I think that was with Patrick Taylor.
Did someone? No, it was in a different league. Not Dynasty. Yeah.
In our Dynasty, Connor put
$98, which makes sense because Fab is worthless in our Dynasty league. But in, like, a redraft league, someone put $98 down for Isaac Arendo. So, and then this is a hot topic between you and I. Buy or no buy for top teams in the league?
I think no buy.
No buy?
No buy. I mean, first of all, I have a buy in the toilet bowl in Dynasty, which I've been tanking in. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a young team. I'm coming up. I think next year I'm going to take a big step forward. Yeah. And I won 2 of my last 3 games. Like the team's not looking too shabby. Yeah, there's momentum there. But like, I'm like, if you have a buy in fantasy football, you're sitting there for like, come on, that's so lame.
Do you think is it because it's the argument of this is kind of boring? But don't you think you're like, oh, I was a really good team, and I'm okay with having a stress relaxed and like maybe a not as fun week because like I'm one step closer to the playoffs or to the championship.
I get the argument. I've been a top seed multiple times before. I get where that comes from.
Look at the cock on this guy.
That's crazy. But I mean, it's just like, I think that fantasy football is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I think that bye weeks just kind of make it less enjoyable. I think bye weeks. I'm not. No.
What about not a bye week, but if like the higher seed team, like if the first and second seeded team in their first round matchup gets like an automatic, like, oh, they all automatically get 10 points.
That's even worse.
You think that's worse? I'm just spitballing here. I don't mind the bye system because like I'm over that part of it, but like I just feel like you have to properly reward like good, like making good moves throughout the entire season effectively doesn't matter when it, because like that's what I kind of like in our league. I kind of chucked. I was like, this is all luck. Like I feel like I have a good enough team that if I get in, I have a chance to win. So it's like I'm not gonna make any moves to try and get better. Like I don't care. Like there's no incentive to make like moves if you're like a middle of the pack team. Like there's nothing for that. Because if if I'm gonna get in and it's gonna be like an even playing field anyway, then what's the point? Like that was my thought all year in our like main fantasy football league, where it's like it doesn't matter if I'm top 2 in the league, I just need to get in. Like who really cares at that point?
I totally get what you mean. I just think
I can sacrifice a little less fun if I have a better chance at winning the championships, which having a bye would do.
I mean, so in a 10-man league, you'd want 6 teams to make the playoffs, 4 teams to make the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
And so then top 2 teams get a bye in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I would.
I think it's totally fine.
I'm not a fan of buys, but I see where you're coming. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from.
Like even if we went down to, I don't even know. No, you can't go down anymore. But yeah, I maybe then the toilet, like whoever the worst team in the league is determined just off the, like the regular season standings then. Because then their team's actually bad. If we just make everything based off the regular season standings.
I don't mind the loser being just determined off regular season. Yeah. I don't mind that at all. The
only fun part of doing it our way where we have no buys is that the toilet bowl is determined. We just make it more entertaining for the 2 teams that sucked all year, when that should not be the priority.
Well, it's not entertaining for me.
You should have to sit there and think about what you've done and how bad your team was this year, and think about how you put yourself in that position. Not you. You got some unluck. You got some bad luck throughout the year, but
I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. I just think, as a fantasy football purist who has won many different leagues of many different sizes, let me just go back. Let me just take you back in time real quick, Topher. Here.
All right.
It is the. Let me think about this. It is the fall of 2014. This is a decade ago, Topher. I am in 8th grade.
8th grade, Joey.
And I am in a league for money for the first time. This is my first fantasy football league ever as well.
Okay.
And we can win up to $250, which is crazy for an 8th grader, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's like my brother's friend. It's like a family friend that my brother's friends with. Long story, right?
Okay.
Family friendly, basically. And I'm giving the reins to the kingdom. I'm giving the key to the kingdom, right? And I'm sitting there all year. I'm making my moves. It's a 10-man league, and I have one of the best teams in that league.
Okay.
Right? I think I'll be like the 2nd seed that year or
Sure.
something like that. I loved that 8 teams made the playoffs and 2 teams were in the toilet bowl, basically.
Okay.
That was great. That's how I think it should be. That's how I thought it was 10 years ago. That's how I thought it was 5 years ago when we started this league. And that's how I think it is now. I think that 8 teams playoffs, 2 teams not playoffs in a 10-man league, perfect.
I'm gonna push for it in our. I'll push for that and Fab to be added in our league. I'll probably lose. I'll lose both battles more likely than not, but
I like the Fab idea.
Fab I think just adds another element, and I think making regular season or making it matter a little bit more. Like whether you're good or not in the regular season is also important because it's all stupid luck at the end of the day.
Nah.
What's been happening in college sports? That second one is literally the definition of luck.
That is definition of skill.
And just blind optimism.
Winning 6 of your last 7. I don't know how much luck.
Yeah, what?
Okay,
Winning.
You win 1 in a row, sure.
All right.
You win 2 in a row, okay. 3 in a row, okay. How much luck can there really be if you win 3 in a row? I won 5 in a row to end the year, Topher. 5. Last 5 games. Of the
You
season,
really want to do that right now, Joe?
You won 10 or something like that.
I won 9 straight. 9.
So you were due to lose.
No, I did say that. I won't lie. I did say that. I was like, I kind of hope I lose the last week because I was like, I said, and I have a team that has a bye this year, and I'm like, I kind of hope they all suck this week because it's like, I don't want to head into the play. Like I need to get the bad juju out of my way. Maybe I do need. I was dominating last year down the stretch. Like it's not like I was like, oh, he's get. I think I had the least amount of points allowed or scored against me, but I was like the most points scored by a lot, and I was above everybody else most weeks down the stretch.
Which I mean, no, that's fair. Your team was very good, but my team also at the end of the season, they're like, I had bad luck again early in the season. I had injuries and all that stuff, and
yeah, I drafted Deebo Samuel.
And Deebo Samuel was fantastic for me at the end of the year last
year. I know.
Fantastic.
I know. He completely flipped our matchup during that.
And so was Saquon Barkley. So was Isaiah Likely. So was DJ Moore. Like I had guys who were putting up numbers for me at the end of the year. They were all good because they were all talented guys at the end of the year. Devontae Adams has been good at the end of the year.
Is it time for next week where we go through the entire story of our round one matchup?
Bro, rent free.
I think no, not even. I know. But like, there's enough that we could fill 30 minutes of talking just about our matchup.
We could fill as much time as
like from start to like in like order of how things happened.
You give us each six Miller Lights and let us go at it. Let this we
potential.
We fill 2 hours of that.
Potential future segment. But while we won't talk about that, what's been happening in college sports lately, Jobo?
Well, I think right now, when it comes to college football, of course, everyone's talking about the Heisman, right? Who's going to be Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter? It should just be one of those two. There's only 2 are really in the conversation at this point. And the more I think of, it's gonna be Travis Hunter. I hope everyone listening knows that it is going to be Travis Hunter. It shouldn't be Travis Hunter.
I'm in denial.
Genty, but it's going to be Travis Hunter for sure. But I think college football playoffs are coming up.
That'll be
So,
exciting. I'm excited.
I want to ask you a question right here.
Okay.
I was looking into this the other day, right?
Okay.
Of the 4 first-round games, right? So it is Tennessee at Ohio State, 2 big programs.
Okay.
It is
Tennessee sucks.
SMU at Penn State. It is Indiana at Notre Dame, and it is Clemson at Texas, right?
Okay.
Those are 4 games. Who do you think has the most expensive tickets? What tickets do you think are the most expensive?
Ooh. What tickets do I feel like are the most expensive?
I mean, if you think about it this way, right? Obviously, Ohio State, Tennessee.
It's not that
far.
one. It's not that one.
That's not that far.
Yeah.
Indiana, Notre Dame's obviously in-state. They haven't played since like the 90s or something, which is crazy for in-state. And then like SMU, Penn State. I mean, this is huge for SMU. Penn State fans are crazy, and then who's it? Clemson at Texas, 2 big programs as well. Who do you think has the most expensive tickets though?
I think it's Indiana Notre Dame.
It is, and you want to know something about that?
What's that?
The cost of the cheapest ticket to Indiana Notre Dame is as much as the cheapest ticket from all other 3 games combined.
Wow.
Or it's still even more than that.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like $1,300 or $1,400 last I saw for a ticket to Indiana Notre Dame.
Wow. Is there?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any like reporting on this. Has there like been anything said about it?
Yeah, no, there's reports. Like I saw a report. I think next is Ohio State, Tennessee. Obviously,
that makes sense.
2 crazy fan bases, and the other ones are like a little bit cheaper. But like Indiana and Notre Dame is $1,400. Get in the door, cheapest ticket.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, they're the most intriguing matchup, I think.
I think. I mean,
Tennessee's not very good. Tennessee's frauds.
I hope so. I think Indiana Notre Dame obviously like in-state rivalry, whole state of Indiana coming out. You know what I'm saying, man? It's gonna be crazy. It's something happening in Indiana for once. But yeah, no, it's.
So you're going?
I'm gonna be in Disney World.
Oh, that's right. Hanging out with the mouse.
Yeah, even if I wasn't gonna be in Florida,
you would have gone.
Do I have $1,400 to spend on a ticket?
Yes.
To go.
Oh, Joe, you showed me a picture. You showed me how much money you have in your bank account, and you're like, Topher, I'll give you $20.
When did I send you $20?
For our team fundraiser, you sent me $20.
Oh yeah, because Coach Henry asked me to.
Did he actually?
But anyways,
okay.
Yeah, no, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, can you send $20?"
That's crazy.
I'm like, all right, but what I'm trying to get at is, I mean, I'm not spending $1,400 for myself, and I'm not going alone. And then if I bring someone, I have to spend another $1,400 to bring someone.
No, just go alone.
Like, I'm not spending all that money just watch a football game on myself. That's kind of weird. But anyways, going to be a great game.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something about this with you, actually.
Okay.
With this college football playoff bracket,
okay,
I want to know your picks. I want to walk you through the bracket.
Oh, that's easy.
And get your picks, and I'll give you my picks as well.
Okay.
All right. First up, in Columbus, Ohio, we have the Buckeyes. Yep, Ohio State.
Yeah. No brainer.
Then we have Texas, Clemson.
Texas.
Okay.
Duh.
Notre Dame, Indiana.
Notre Dame.
Okay. Penn State, SMU.
I am all aboard the Drew Aller train. Give me Penn State.
Oh, okay.
I'm all aboard the Drew Aller train. I think he's it. I think he's him. I think he's it. Josh Allen in the making.
Fair enough. Oregon, Ohio State.
They actually would run into each other on this in the second round.
Oregon is like the hardest path, basically.
That's horrible.
In the 1 seed, yeah.
Oregon, Ohio State. I'm gonna say Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arizona State, your Sun Devils versus Texas.
Forks up, baby. Texas. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas.
Georgia, Notre Dame.
Because they're not playing Texas, I'm going Notre Dame. Because Georgia isn't playing Texas, Notre Dame.
Okay. And then Boise State, Penn State. Ashton Genty, Drew Aller. Who's coming out on top?
Give me the Broncos.
Boise State, okay.
Give me Boise State.
Oregon, Texas.
Oh gosh, I don't want Who did I pick Texas to beat?
Arizona State.
Yeah, flip that. I hate Texas. I'm picking Arizona State to beat Texas.
Oh, so Arizona State, Oregon.
Good old Pac-12. Rest in peace. Give me Oregon.
And then, what, you had Notre Dame, Boise State?
Notre Dame, Boise State. Notre Dame locked down Army earlier in the year. Obviously a very different team than Boise State. Because it's not like the triple option. Well, because they're not... It's a run-heavy team, but they still mix in the pass a little more than Bryson Daly does. I know my ball.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Give me the Broncos! We're going dancing, baby!
And then, I guess for the championship, a good old border clash here. Oregon, Boise State. Who is bringing that national championship home?
You want to know, Joey, the big reason I don't think Travis Hunter should win Heisman?
Why is that, Topher?
He does the Heisman pose too much after he scores touchdowns.
Okay.
Give me the Broncos! Upset of the century, Ashton Genty. Ooh! As they win it all. We're partying in Boise. The Boise State Broncos shut the haters up. Let them know we do it diffy around here in the group of five.
All right.
Give me the Broncos.
I've never partying in Boise before, but hey, Topher picks Boise State to be
Boise
your national
State
championship.
behind Ashton Genty and Maddox Madsen.
Yeah, they're dogs. They're dogs over there. I would love that. I would if that's my, I guess it's my third favorite scenario happening. But
what are your first two?
Ohio State wins it all.
Okay.
Indiana wins it all.
Yeah. All right, walk me through your bracket.
All right. Well, I'm taking my sweet old Buckeyes to beat the brakes off of Tennessee because it's not Michigan.
Tennessee's not very good either.
I think Clemson somehow, some way pulls out an upset over Texas.
Over Texas.
I think that happens. And while we're riding the upset train all the way down to the station, I think that the Hoosiers of Indiana show that this state is theirs and they beat Notre Dame. And I think Penn State beats SMU.
Okay.
Second round, give me the Buckeyes over Oregon.
Okay. That's not horribly surprising.
And as crazy as this is still, give me the Sun Devils of Arizona.
Yeah! Forks up, baby!
Moving on to the final
Forks
four.
up!
Forks up.
Oh, let's go,
And then
baby.
Georgia versus the Hoosiers. This is where the fairy tale
Yuck.
season comes to an end.
Mid versus mid.
Georgia wins it. And then Boise State, Penn State. As much as I love Ashton Genty,
Give me the Broncos, right?
the Nittany Lions.
That's fair.
The Nittany Lions cruise their way with a cupcake schedule for college football playoff standards into the Final Four.
All right.
Then we have the Buckeyes of Ohio State versus the Sun Devils of Arizona
Oh,
State.
so you just wanted to give Ohio State an easier path by having them run into Arizona State in the semis.
Dog, they beat Tennessee and Oregon already. I don't think this is an easy path at all. But they keep dancing on. Ohio State makes the national championship game. And who do they play there?
Pick Penn State.
I'm not picking Penn State. I'm picking Georgia.
Oh,
Georgia,
they're so bad,
it's a national championship
Joey.
Well, their backup quarterback looked better than Carson Beck,
They're not
and he's
good.
likely going to be playing. I don't think they're that good either. But I think that if it's Georgia versus Indiana and then Penn State, I think that Georgia could very easily win both those games. Penn State's not that great. Penn State loses every big game they ever sniff.
They came close this past one. They're getting closer.
Finally.
All right,
then,
Georgia, Ohio State.
in the national championship game, job on the line. Ryan Day cooks up a disaster class, but it doesn't matter because Quinshaw Judkins and Travion Henderson kill that Georgia run defense.
I mean,
Ohio State is your national champion.
Would it
be Ohio State?
Would it really be Ohio State going on a run late in the season if they did not have a game where one of their running backs just put up an otherworldly stat line? I mean, we had Zeke, Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon's was legit. I think I lamed both of them, but yeah.
No. I was saying I was just giving like a good old fashioned oh yeah, Trey Sermon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Trey Sermon was a dog.
Yeah. So I pick Ohio State and you pick Boise State.
Yeah. Two states. Hey.
Boise's not.
Hey,
State,
get off the bandwagon. Stay on that side. Stay on that side.
Yeah. Hey. So I pick Ohio State. Shout out myself. Shout out my parents. And you pick Boise State. Shout out Logan Engberg. He lives in Boise, I think. I see on Strava.
Shout out. I had a Boise State. Actually, it was a hand-me-down Boise State sweatshirt growing up.
Oh.
Do you have one? This is exciting stuff. Uh-oh, what's he gonna bring out? Still waiting. Oh my gosh. Did you sprint? Yeah, there it is. Mine was it was a blue one. It was all it was Boise State blue. It was all ripped up by the end though. That thing was so old.
I've had this since middle school or something. I wore it all through college for runs. It's a little small, but
they're just getting big.
No, it's been small for years.
You're growing, boy.
That's weird.
Do you want to do Boyo of the Week, or do you just want to make Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the Boyo of the Week?
You know what? Because 'tis the season, our Boyo of the Week is the greatest reindeer of all time, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Boyo of the Week.
You gotta cook up a graphic.
Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman.
Honorable mention Frosty the Snowman.
You might have to cook up a graphic for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Boyo of the Week.
I might have to cook up a graphic for
a couple of these things.
Give a little recap of our Boyo of the Week. Who's our merchant of the week, though?
Our merchant of the week? Ooh.
And don't say Rudolph's a system reindeer here.
No, I was just already. Is the greatest clutch performer.
I know.
Merchant of the week. Ooh. Is that? Okay, go ahead. I have one too.
You go first.
Is Zach Charbonnet a Kenneth Walker injury merchant?
I was gonna say, is Josh Allen getting engaged merchant?
No.
Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker injury merchant. All right.
We'll let the people decide. Merchant of the week, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker injury merchant.
Or is it Josh Allen engagement merchant? Let us know in the comments if you've stayed this far. If you stayed this far, even if you don't want to comment, just say something so we know people watch to this point. Because we've just been
they're just yapping.
I've no clue. We've been yapping.
Yeah, I have no clue how long we've been going for. Hey, Zach Charbonnet is about to carry me to a chip, so that trophy's gonna be sitting nice, pretty, right here in a few weeks.
Hey, he's about to make sure I'm not losing that toilet bowl because he's a starting running back on my dynasty team. Him and Chase Brown. How about them apples, eh?
It's not bad. All right.
I'm not gonna lie. Hey, the kid's not bad.
Everyone, good luck in your first round matchups this week. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time. Joe Birds.